Hi everybody, it's Imogen. Welcome back to Colouring Kid. Today's video is an exciting one because it's the first time that I'm going to be colouring on camera with my new copy of Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. So I'm going to show you a sneak peek of the first page that I've completed in here, and then I'm going to show you the butterfly that I'm going to be colouring. So this colour palette that I had in mind for the butterfly took a long time to think about because I really wanted it to be perfect. I had actually downsized a free download that Joanna Bassford had given away, and I had done a lot of testing out of colours. It was ridiculous, it took me ages, and I did some on paper that was more kind of colour pencil paper, you know, it was more kind of leaning towards what would be in the book. But yeah, I went through those and then I just printed on some copy paper, and I finally decided on this one. Now it will look a bit different when I actually colour it. The gel pen that I went around all of these with was a gold jelly roll, and the reason I did that was because I will actually be doing the framing of the butterfly in a gold colour. So this page, you see the framing there, I'll be doing that in gold. So I kind of wanted to get an idea of what that would look like, but yeah, I finally decided on this. So it's got a blue middle, and then the blue fades into a purple, then orange, then yellow. And the reason why I chose this was because it's always been a colour palette for butterflies that I've done a lot. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. So the first page I ever coloured with this butterfly design was from Menuet de Bonheur by Kaneko Egusa. And I did this page of butterflies. Now these are the butterflies that I did based on that colour palette, and because I was kind of new to colouring and stuff, I wanted to write down some colour palettes that I had for the butterflies so that I could remember them for reference later. So I put them in this book and written down, and I'm so glad I did, because all of these colours here are the ones that I'm going to be using so I could remember. So this was the picture even that I took inspiration from, and the FC means Faber Castell Polychromos. So you can see all the colours I'm using there. I will go over them in a moment, but these are just some butterflies that I wanted to note down colours of, and then also some flowers here. So that was quite fun to do, just to, you know, keep them for later reference. So this was the first page I did with them, and then I did one later on here. The only thing is these aren't quite as vivid or as deep and rich as what I will be doing on my book, but it's the same idea. I also probably won't be using white gel pen, just because even though I have in the past, I'm not going to in this book because I want it to be gold. So this is Schematised by Maria Troll, and I also did a page with the butterfly, and this one has Wink of Stella and white gel pen. So this is more what I'm leaning towards too in terms of the colours and the richness, but all of them come out slightly differently, and it's kind of my signature butterfly. Whenever there's a single butterfly, I tend to go for this colour palette. Okay, so again, I've got one from World of Flowers. Here, the colours aren't quite as bright on here, but again, it's very, very similar to what I will be trying to achieve. So, with those in mind, I'm going to show you the page that I will be doing, and I'm going to be colouring the butterfly on the nameplate page. So with this book, I'm really trying to take it slow and do everything to the best of my ability, because this is my second copy that I will one day be completing. So the first page that I've done here is actually the first page, the title page, and on this I haven't just stuck to colour pencil and a glitter gel pen and white gel pen. I've done loads and loads of different things. So this is how my butterfly turned out. It's a very miniature size, but I outlined it with clear glitter gel pen just because it was a smaller one, and then I also put a tiny amount of the gold gel pen on there. There was a miniature one here as well, a tiny one there, but yeah, mostly this was done with Holbein, and I think it was just Holbein actually. just Holbein, some Staedtler fine liners, and I was really pleased to find out that they didn't bleed through. And to be honest, the thing I really like about the fine liners is you can't even really tell I've used them, which is the point. I don't want them to stand out in that way, but I did use them a lot. And the gold framing on here is how I want the dark gold brown colour is what I want the framing to look like for the butterfly, so I've written that down. And yeah, I really like how this has turned out. And just to compare, this was the title page on my original copy, so there is a drastic difference. I did change it around quite a bit, just to show you there. So yeah, it is interesting going back and seeing how things differ. The nameplate page that I did was this one last time, and I think this was the first or second thing I coloured in here. Second, I think. And the thing I didn't do was do the butterfly as it should have been. I kind of just coloured the butterflies however I wanted to in the book, so not all of them are the same, which is the only thing I'm kind of disappointed with, because I would have really liked this to have been the colour that I had done the butterfly, but I hadn't sorted out a colour palette for it yet, so I ended up just going for blues. But this is going to look completely different. I'm not going to do all the white gel pen dots. I might have a few here and there, and the colour palette won't be as pastel coloured, which sounds weird because I do use them a lot, but I want obviously the richness of the butterfly to be the main bit, and then I don't really know what I'm going to do for the rest of it, but we'll see. So let's just get started. I'm anticipating this is going to be quite long because I've already been talking at you for almost 7 minutes, so let's just get started. So I'm just going to get a sheet of paper. Oh, if I can actually get one. Honestly, everything's just stacked up. There we go. So I'm just going to get a sheet of paper to put behind it so there's no indentation. And I'm just going to talk to you about the things I'm going to be using. So for the actual colours, I've got mainly Faber-Castell pencils and then a couple of Prismacolors. So the darker blues that I'm using, I might not use all of these actually, it depends, although it is a bigger butterfly. So I've got indigo blue, helio turquoise from the Polychromos, and then peacock blue from the Prismacolor. So 2 Prismacolor, 1 Polychromos. The purples that I'm using are very similar, but light red violet 135 is the darker one, and crimson 134 is the slightly lighter one, and they're both from the Polychromos again. All of these are from Faber-Castell Polychromos now, apart from the white. Personally, I just like this one from the Classics because it's slightly harder and it doesn't dull the colours as much, so I will be using that. And then the blend of colours, again, you really don't need all of these. You could skip out lots of the colours, which is what I might end up doing, because as you can see, it's quite, you know, they're very similar, but we have, let me just line these all up so it's easier to see. So we have orange glaze 113, cadmium orange 111, dark chrome yellow 109, cadmium yellow 108, dark cadmium yellow, and then cadmium yellow, and then light yellow glaze. So that's, I'll just repeat. So 113, 111, 109, 108, 107 and 104. So they're all the colours, and again you could skip. You could probably just stick with 4 if you wanted to, or even 3. It depends how easily you can blend, or you know, whether you prefer to layer or not. If you like to layer, I'd probably recommend going for all of the colours, because you know, it's quite therapeutic just doing all of the colours. And then in terms of tools, I'm using a Derwent battery eraser, a Faber-Castell eraser pen. I don't think I'll need a colourless blender, but if you want to use one, you can. And then for the accenting afterwards, if we get that far, we've got a gold gel pen, as I said, the Jelly Roll one, and then you can use either one of these. We've got a Jelly Roll clear glitter stardust pen or a Uniball Signo silver glitter gel pen. They're basically the same thing. Even if you wanted to use a different coloured gel pen, you could. So this is just my way of colouring the butterfly from my Inky Butterfly. So I am only going to zoom in a little bit and I might even just zoom out a bit more because it is a bit funny sometimes. So I'm going to start with the blues plus the white, and I am just going to move the camera so that I can colour a bit easier. So I'm going to start with the darkest colour, which is indigo blue, and this is PC 901, and I'm going to very lightly colour on the left side of the body. And the reason I'm doing this is because I imagine the light is coming this way, so the light will be hitting it. There's no particular reason why I do that, but I just do. I tend to put the darker accent on the left side with anything really. So just layer that on. We're kind of just mapping out the colours at this point, not really pushing that hard. Prismacolors do, you know, you do get a lot of colour even if you don't push very hard. So we're going to go in with the peacock blue now again, which is the Prismacolor, and you're just going to lightly go over the indigo blue, not really going any further. You're kind of just sticking to blending out to the middle, and then you're going to grab the Helio Turquoise, which is from the Polychromos, and again just go over all of what you've done and feather it out pretty much until the edge, but leave a bit of a highlight. And the reason you're going to do this is you can go over that highlight with the white just to emphasize it a bit more. So once you've done that, you're going to go back with the indigo blue from the Prismacolor and now darken that up. So you might be thinking this isn't really a usual colour palette that I would go for, but for some reason this has just always stuck with me, and I just really like it. So I am aiming to complete this book from start to finish again, so if there's anything particular throughout this book that you would like me to do a tutorial on or do a colour and chat for a specific page, please just let me know, because this is going to be an ongoing book for me. You know, I might dot around from page to page, but I'm going to try and go in some sort of order. I might not do it specifically in order, so, you know, it might not be that I do the next page after this. It really depends what I'm feeling. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, please just let me know. So I'm going over with the white now, very lightly. I don't want to put down too much pressure, otherwise it creates a really milky film. Okay, and I'm going to go over with the Helio Turquoise again. And leave it there for now. I think that's pretty much, yeah. This is obviously more bluey because there's more space for me to shade, whereas with the other one there wasn't. So that's the blue. And now I'm going to stick with so the Helio Turquoise is going to be our dark colour for the wings, and now we're going to grab the two purples. So with this one it might be quite hard to see, but I have started the wing with the blue and then gone into the purple. So the only tricky thing with this, obviously with it being different, is the fact that there's little shapes in it, whereas with the other one there wasn't. So we're just going to kind of go around that. So again, we're just mapping out. You'll kind of do two layers, especially since going from blue to purple to orange, you know, they're not the most traditional colours to blend, especially the shades that we're blending. So you're just going to very lightly go over with this Helio Turquoise, and you're literally just mapping it out. If they don't blend together this time, it doesn't matter. So now you're going to take the light red violet, which is the darker of the two purples, and you're going to just go over the bit of the edge of that Helio Turquoise and kind of mush them together. It won't look as good as it will do, obviously, because we haven't finished yet, but it may look strange at the moment. So the thing I was conscious about when I was doing my practice, I didn't really have as much purple as I wanted to, or the purple or the blue. There was a lot of yellow and orange, so I'm going to try and minimise that. Sorry, not minimise, minimise. I can't speak. If you can hear any noise again, that's just my family because we're all home. But yeah, I think that's pretty much there. And then we're going to grab the lighter of the two purples. They are very, very similar, so you might not be able to tell a difference. And if you can't, you know, just use one of them. So I'm just blushing it into that new edge, and now we're going to go into the orange. So this is where the blend can be a bit tricky because going from purple to orange is slightly odd. So I'm going to go in with the darkest orange, and I might not even use all of these colours, to be honest. I might miss a couple of these because I don't necessarily need all of the colours. So with the orange, I'm just going over that last purple that we did very lightly and leaving it there. I'm going to skip the next orange, I think. So we're going now to the dark chrome yellow, and we've just done orange glaze. It really depends on the amount of space that you have. If it's one of the bigger butterflies in this book or in any book, you might want to do all the colours, but I'm not going to. So that's that one. And now I'm going to skip the dark cadmium yellow and go straight to the cadmium yellow. So because this is obviously smaller, I don't need all of it. And then I'm going to the light yellow glaze and just filling that in. So that is the mapping out of the colours. So now we're going to go back in, and this is where you can kind of put harder pressure in. The only thing I'm going to do before we do that is fill in these shapes. I might leave them actually for now and do some fine liner maybe, but we'll see. So we're going to start with Helio Turquoise again. So now you're going to go in with hard pressure only in the first kind of half of what you coloured. So you're not putting hard pressure on everything that you did, because the second half of what you coloured is what the purple's going to blend into. So you don't want to do hard pressure for all of it, otherwise it's going to be harder to blend. So now go in with the darkest purple and overlap the that extra blue that you had. And again, you've got harder pressure at this point. You'll see the colours merge more easily now that you've mapped it out. If you went straight in with hard pressure, it would be a lot harder. It would be easier if you were using Prismacolors for all of it, because obviously they're waxier pencils and they blend easier, but for polychromos it's really good to layer. So I'm going in with the lighter of the purples now, and again going over the last purple. And I'm just using my rubber pencil because I've gone over that area slightly. And with these two shapes here, I'm going almost to the edge, but not quite, because I'm going to do a bit of orange for the tips of those. So now we're going in with the darkest, which is orange glaze, and this is the darkest purple. And yeah, so going on the tips of these shapes here, and then hard pressure here. And again, we're going to skip the orange and go straight to the dark chrome yellow. Again, hard pressure here. You may find you don't even need the white because, you know, you've managed to blend that much. So again, I'm going to skip the dark cadmium yellow and go straight to cadmium yellow. So, you know, you have shortened your route, as it were, you know, in terms of finishing it. We've skipped out two of the colours, so it should be a bit quicker. So we've just gone over with the lightest colour, which is light yellow glaze. So that is pretty much it. Now I'm just going to hold this up so that I can see it. And that's pretty much there. I can see a tiny bit of white space, but it doesn't really bother me. So if you can kind of see the resemblance of the colours, it looks the purple looks very bright on camera, but it's actually a lot more dull than that. It's a red violet, not a bright violet. And this looks almost red, but it's not. It's an orange colour. So, you know, if you do want to follow along, as long as you do these colours, it will turn out slightly differently to what's on the camera. So now what I'm going to do is go over with the white, very, very lightly, and this is really, really light, so all this is doing is kind of finishing it off. And that is done. So what I'm going to do now is go off camera and do most of the other pencil work because it's exactly the same, and then I will come back and put all the gel pen and stuff on it once I've figured out what I want to do. So I will see you soon. So I've now finished all of the colouring bits, as you can see, apart from the things I have left on the right hand side. So everything on the left hand side is complete, and I'll be showing you how I did that. So the thing I ended up going for to fill in the small shapes was a Staedtler Strips fine liner in a light orange colour. This is in the pastel set of 6. So I've gone with that to fill in the small shapes. I've got my gold jelly roll, as I mentioned, and then I ended up going for a silver Uniball Signo glitter gel pen, just because it's got silver glitter, so it contrasts a bit more and it stands out. So I'm going to use the fine liner first, and this is something that I've been experimenting with a bit more, using fine liner along with my colouring, and I find it has a really nice result, and you can't really tell that I've even used it. So the only things you'll need in terms of pencils to shade these tiny bits, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I've got the Crimson 134 and the Orange Glaze 113. So this is the lightest purple and the darkest orange. So first we're going to colour them in. And these are really small areas, so you don't really have to worry about you know, overlapping things, because it will look pretty flat because they are very small. So once you've done those, you're going to go over with the crimson, as I mentioned, and they dry pretty much instantly, and they don't bleed through either, which is really nice. So I'm just going to go on the tip of the circle and on the tip of the other shapes with this purple, just because it shades quite nicely with the orange. And then I'm going to go in with the orange and just blush over it. You're not going the whole way with the shading either, it's kind of just a tiny bit of shading over the fine liner just to give it a bit of extra depth. And now I'm going to go in with the gold gel pen. I'm just going to go on a piece of paper to check that it works, and then I'm just going to put loads and loads of dots and things on it. So I'm putting a dot on the antennae. I've really done dots and dashes and things on the middle of the butterfly, and then I'm going to do a small dash there, fill in that circle, and then do a couple of small ones because they're little circles. So mostly I'm just doing dots here to accent. And I think it's really nice because it does stand out a lot. I'll show you once I've fully done it. So now there are all of these lines here that can be filled in as well. So I'm going to fill in this. Now the thing I'm not doing is going over the black lines. So all I'm doing is filling them in rather than completely going over them, because I do want them to still be visible so that you can see that they were there. And then also I'm just going to do a line following the curves, but I'm not going over the curves, I'm just going slightly on top, and that's everything I'm doing with the gold. So see everything I've done there. It's quite hard to tell when I'm actually showing it because it's metallic, so it only shows up in the light properly. And now I'm going over with the silver glitter gel pen. I need it in the middle of the butterfly as well, so all I'm doing with this is kind of outlining everything. And it really doesn't take that long. It's so simple. And it just makes everything stand out. So I'm not doing what I did in my last book and going over it all with Wink of Stella, because I found that it rubbed off quite a lot. And also, I just don't think I need all of that glitter. I'm just happy with doing the outlines with the glitter gel pen instead. So I'm just trying to remember where did I put glitter on those? Let me just have a look. I need to just check if I've put glitter where I'm about to put it. Yeah, I did. So I'm going to go all around these areas here. And that is done. So that's basically the tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope this gives you some ideas for what you can do with butterflies in any books. It doesn't have to be Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, but this is just personally how I would colour a butterfly. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments on videos or specific things in this book, as I said, that you would like to see a tutorial on, please let me know. I'd be happy to do those for you, or any videos in general. So everything's linked down below as usual, and yeah, I will see you on my next video. Bye everyone!